Hey writers, I just want to do a midweek check-in. It's Wednesday. Hopefully last night you completed reply number 1 to each other's short article copies. By tomorrow night, you should be submitting reply number 2. If you're running behind, try to get these things done as soon as possible. I haven't had a chance to look yet, so I will count it on time if it's there ASAP. You're building up right now toward Sunday's deadline of your final draft of your short article copy. And just to reiterate what is meant by the final draft of the short article copy, in my video at the start of the week, I said that this should be your best work. And the intention there is that you're trying to show me what you can do on your own so that I can provide the next step for you of growth, learning, improvement, getting us closer to publication, really giving you meaningful advice rather than advice that you'd be able to come up with in your own head. You know, like I said, from my own experience, I've submitted things where it's like at such a state that what I get back is what I had on my to-do list to do next anyway. You don't want that. You want to exhaust your to-do list and be like, this is what I'm capable of. Now, Amber, what can you push me to do next? And this is twofold. I'm checking us out to see what our different strengths are, what things we need to improve upon based on previous training in your English 101 courses. But also it's an opportunity for me to see the potential of the argument, for you guys to show each other the potential within your arguments, and for us to establish a plan of action for taking and expanding our articles to a greater length to get ready for publication. So I want to babble on a little bit, about the requirements here. Refer to at least 5 different sources using SIP format. To reiterate, you should be studying, if you haven't heard this phrase SIP format before, I came up with it, but it's just an easy acronym for helping remember what I did not come up with, which is in-text citations and end-of-text citations. So a signal phrase, according to the source, blah, 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 and then a paraphrase or a quote from that source, and you end it with parentheses, and inside of parentheses, you put very specific information that corresponds with your works cited entry at the end. If this feels like a lot, you might need to refresh on some of that 101 learning, because it really should just be, I did this before, let me try it again, and make sure that you're up to par. So again, you need SIP format for every single one of your required sources. So at least 5 SIPs and at least 5 sources that correspond in the works cited section at the end of the essay. Don't use Wikipedia or procon.org except for as background resources to help you figure out where to find better research. And I want you to dig into the library databases. You should have been exposed to that in English 101. If not, reach out, let me know ASAP. Reach out to a librarian, a tutor, catch yourself up. You know, the worst thing that happens if you are a little bit behind or not ready to take on this task is that I tell you submit the final draft and I'm like, we need to fix this up. And maybe, you don't get the amount of points that you want, but there's all kinds of time after that to identify what the gaps are and redeem them. So again, it's all about just take advantage of, if you're able to do it, do it. I can meet you where you're at and push you to the actual next step for you. I want you to use the library databases, not just for an elitist check mark, not because those are the best resources. That's a whole different conversation. I want you to use them because it's also a test of the researchability of your topic itself. It's going to tell you how valid is this topic as it is for research, and it also identifies gaps. So a few of you have emailed me and said, I can't find anything, and that's a learning thing, and I'm still practicing this all the time, of adjusting your search strategies and developing some more specific search strategies for making the library databases work for you. So if you're stuck, guess why you have an instructor, an editor? That's what I'm here for. Send me an email. Don't wait until the weekend. Give transparent credit to sources, have a works cited section, 6 or more paragraphs. So you're going to have this intro, and it's going to start with a broad hook. So you're really trying to catch the attention of the audience, and then slowly and intentionally you funnel down to the most specific pointiest point in the whole article, the main point, your single sentence thesis statement, which should have that problem solution thing to it. It's not a question, it's a statement. You're not sitting on the fence, you're making it clear, you're driving the point home. So that is the crux of what you're producing. And then that's all taking place in the first paragraph. Then you have 4 body paragraphs. At least 3 of those should be exploring parts of your argument. If you haven't already established in the introduction what to proof that there is a problem, probably should be doing that in the first body paragraph. So using statistics to show that there's an issue that needs to be solved. And then toward the end of the body paragraphs, you're going to introduce if not a solution in whole, like thoroughly presented, you'll maybe save that last body paragraph to propose some potential solutions. By the time we hit the 3,000 word article and we've done more research, I want to see those solutions really be hashed out. But right now they might not be as articulated. As long as there's a presence of solutions in this version of your article, you're headed in the right direction. So that's kind of where you want to be with that. So you can hear that stasis theory is a way to help you organize your argument. You catch our attention, you draw us in to give us the thesis. That's the intention of the intro. It's just to get us to care enough to keep reading to the thesis. And then the thesis is so punchy and so pointed that we're like, I'm not sure if I agree with that, or oh wow, that's interesting, or I really agree with that. I want to read this because it makes me feel good. Confirmation bias. So make that super punchy, and then get us all on the same page. Like, there is an issue. We all agree, right? Now move us forward. How urgent is the issue? That's probably going to be infused throughout the entire thing, but save for the latter paragraphs the solution. You might hit counter arguments. This is just a test run. The short article copy is a test run. It's a rough, not a rough draft. It's a run through. And like I said, it has multiple purposes. So when you get to, so you want to be hitting about 1,000 words. That's how my English 101 prompts are. So hopefully you've done that before. A passionate, argumentative, creative style of a voice, but in an academic tone. Don't stress about that too much. Just, again, do your best. Do what you think you're supposed to do. Do what feels authentic and effective for you. And then I'll give you my input, and you'll get the input of others. And if it's not quite right, where it's really going to matter is the final product that we're working toward at the end of the quarter. I say that to say, really let fear kind of go away. Just give me your best. And there's room for you to miss the mark. And sometimes when you're working creatively, you have to be willing to fail. I'm not calling it a failure, but you might interpret it that way. Like, oh, I didn't do as good as I wanted to. Sometimes that's best as a process. Make sure you guys are setting these up as Google Docs, shareable. I saw so many share links come in. If it's broken, I'll reach out and let you know. Experiment with the creative visual formatting. I think that just keeps everyone more engaged when it actually looks like something that we want to be reading. And then I want you to use bold font to show me your thesis statement. So when I read your intro paragraph, when I get to that last sentence should be bold. And some people, when they write, they'll take a Post-it note and they'll write their drafted thesis statement on it and just stick it on the computer so that way they're constantly confronted with the thesis as they write every paragraph. It's a good piece of advice. And that's kind of what's happening even with your abstract project, right? It's sort of there reminding you, where am I going with this? And you can continually revise that. Now, this is new to you, I'm almost positive. Highlighter text to show us where your subpoints are. So topic sentences, is that what you call them? Claims, usually they're the first sentence of your body paragraphs. So they're the sentences that make it, it's like if the thesis is the point that tells us what the whole argument is or what the whole essay is, the subpoints are the single sentence that drives what the entire paragraph is about. Like I have this giant argument, but instead of just spewing at you, I'm going to organize it into these little sections in the order that I think is going to persuade you. And then to make it clear to you what I'm trying to accomplish in this section, one section at a time, I'm going to top that paragraph with a single sentence that says, okay, step 1, let's prove this. Prove it. Good. Are we all good? Now, step 2, let's prove this. And then by the end, it's like A plus B plus C equals thesis statement. Okay, so highlight. So if I look at bold, I get your thesis statement. If I look at highlight, I get the parts that you broke that thesis statement down into. Just creates a really cognitively easy way for readers to consume the ideas. No metaphors. I was going to think of one, but then use some kind of colored font, any color, to show us where you've summarized, paraphrased, or quoted. This is going to make it easy for me as your editor to just really quickly move through it and be like, yep, nope, with your formatting. Because the last thing we want is to send something to publication and then have some angry person, I'm going to exaggerate this in a role-playing scenario, suing our magazine for stealing their ideas. So, hey, Amber, one of your journalists published this thing and they said blah, blah, blah and acted like it was their idea, but it was in my scholarly journal. So if you put any ideas that are not yours in colored font, then what I can do is say, okay, Jane Doe, journalist of mine, thank you for making it clear to me with this colored font which ideas you're trying to give credit for, and then I can clarify that you've used the correct formatting to actually give that credit. And then later, we can remove the colored font once we are sure, absolutely sure that we've given transparent credit. So you use the colored font to tell me what you want to give credit for, and I look at the colored font to make sure that you have given credit for that, and then later we remove the colored font because we feel secure that we've been transparent, we've been ethical, we've been skillful, and also it just kind of reveals to us like how much of the article is you and how much is from a source, and do you need a little more balance or something like that. Expectations. I'm just gonna, I know I'm just regurgitating what's on the page, but sometimes, we learn differently. Sometimes you want to hear, and I know I'm not giving you much to see, but here, let's do it this way. So I have a lecture about this that you can link to. I mean, I think I'll link to it below this update, okay? I'll give you the essays page. I'll give you a handful of the resource pages to help you revise and edit, but I'm not going to draw pictures. All right, introduction paragraph. We've already talked about this. Get us engaged. Be experimental. Be creative. Flow logically and give us just enough info to get us hooked and help us at least be able to understand what the thesis is, okay? Not too much. Just enough to creatively get us hooked and informed. Main point, single sentence, specific, complex, debatable, problem, solution, argumentative stance. Not a question, a statement. Don't sit on the fence, allude to a solution, solve the problem if you can. You might use the words we must, we need to, we should. That will help you make sure that you actually have an argument. Is background information included when needed? So we'll figure that out more as we go. Subpoints, the topic sentences are expressed. Those are the highlighted ones we talked about. Signal phrases are used, a variety. So according to the article, blah, 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 published by in the video titled so-and-so says that, blah, 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 blah. So use a variety of those to introduce your source ideas. I'm so sick and tired of people spewing arguments and just saying claims, and then you walk away, and let's say you go home and you tell your family, hey, I heard that, and they're like, where'd you hear that? It's like, well, I heard it from someone. Well, where'd they hear it from? And so you're getting to the place now, and we're going to work on this a lot, where the signal phrases that you're presenting need to establish credibility and trust. So if I say something like, in a 2010, nope, see, that's not even good enough. If I say something like, in a 2019 study done by researchers at the University of Washington, that is a signal phrase that establishes a sense of credibility so that I'm primed as the reader of this piece of journalistic work to think, oh, this sounds like something I should prepare to believe. And maybe that example is poor. Maybe you're like, I wouldn't trust a 2019 UW study. But again, we're getting into the art now of credibility, the art form of credibility. And that's what I want you guys breaking into. After you're finished with the colored font, the info you want to give credit for, parentheses, and put stuff in parentheses, and we can figure out and correct if it's not the right stuff later. Are you explaining your points thoroughly? So are you explaining what the paraphrased or quoted material means? Are you explaining how it supports the subpoint? Are you explaining how the subpoint supports the thesis statement? Are you thinking about just being elaborate and embellishing on your thinking? Have lots of good information in there. Organization and transitions. We'll go over more of this later. End with a conclusion paragraph. So don't write in conclusion. Make it creative. Again, I'll give you the essay's resource. The conclusion should begin with a reminder of what the big picture is. Not a copy-paste of your thesis statement, but a reminder of what's essential. Bring us back to the big picture, because you did the big picture in the thesis, and then you were like micro, 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 micro. And remember I said A, B, C, D equals thesis. That's what that first sentence of the conclusion needs to be, is the equals da-da-da-da, big picture. I'm really bad at da-da-da-da-da today. Okay, then that opens back up to a lasting impression. You started with a hook and with a release. Don't just summarize your stuff. Then your readers feel like bored. You want to leave us with an impression or a feeling, and I have some resources to help you do that. Revise and edit to make sure your grammar and mechanics don't distract from readability or your ethos, that you're saying what you really mean, that you're thinking about how linguistic design, so word choice, phrasing, sentence variety, your sense of tone and style establishes a mood or an atmosphere for your argument. And then works cited listed at the end. So this is a really long video where I am just summarizing all of the elaborate skills that you spent an entire 10 weeks being trained on, 11 weeks plus a finals week in your English 101 course. That is a hard training, and now you're here and you're having to do it all again. So I want to hold a balance of like, you should be able to do all this stuff because you have done it, but also it's okay if it doesn't all come together right now. There's not a ton at stake. The only thing at stake is that you might not get the best and the most helpful feedback if you don't give me your best attempt right now. So if that doesn't inspire you to kick it into gear, I don't know what will. But anyway, guys, just reach out to me. Let me know if I can help you as an individual journalist do your best work here for our magazine, if I can help you fill in any gaps in your learning ahead of time. If you miss the ability to email me about something by Friday, or you hit the weekend and I'm not available, I'm out of the office. Like I said, worst thing that happens is you don't maybe do as well as you wish you would have on the short article copy, but you've got time to polish this stone into a gem by the end of the quarter, and we'll get there together. I'm done now. Okay, you guys have a great time sifting through the resources this week. I wish you the best. I hope you're enjoying your topic still. If there's anything I haven't covered that's on your mind, communication is always key, and let's keep building a good working relationship so that we can ensure that we do something that we're all proud of. I want you guys to get to the end of the quarter and feel really accomplished with what you produced, and that will make me feel accomplished if at the end you say, gosh, I'm proud of myself. All right, have a good one.